Oftentimes, our work happens not to be the best out there, and what makes it harder is having to bring some level of emotional pain to the people we love. This is the story of a smart and intelligent real estate agent who embarks on a trip to get a client to sell his family legacy. In the opening scene of a cowboy Christmas romance, we see Lexi waking up from her bed, ready to get the day started. Lexi Crenshaw is a pro real estate agent and a co-owner at a growing real estate company, Crenshaw and Hayes. She gets on a call with Simone Hayes, her bestie and co-partner in the real estate business. Simone suggests coming over to give her support in closing the 2 deals she is expected to wrap up. Approaching one of her clients' boardrooms, Lexi confidently informs Simone that she believes she can take on both deals all on her own, so Simone doesn't have to come over. After sealing both deals, Lexi walks into her office building radiating success and confidence. Simone laughs at the way she swaggers in with confidence. She congratulates her for pulling the sales off, and they walk into Lexi's office. Lexi can't stop talking about her extra bonuses from the deals and going to the North Pole for vacation. Simone smiles as she thinks of a way to convince Lexi to seal one more deal before vacationing. Simone drops the news, and she is finally able to convince Lexi that she needs to finish up one major deal. It is the type that the company has been looking for, to put them out there as one of the big real estate companies. Lexi doesn't like the sound of that, but then, having more money when she goes on vacation is not a bad idea. Simone reveals Lexi would need to travel to her home, Tuac in Arizona. Lexi sighs upon hearing that. She swore never to go back home 10 years ago, and she's certain her dad wouldn't want them to mend their issues. However, Simone thinks 10 years is enough time to try again. Upon getting home, Lexi packs her things together in preparation for her trip. She comes across a box she kept her things in growing up, and it brings back sweet memories. She arrives in Tuac the next day, after settling into the inn she booked earlier, and then goes shopping. Lexi walks into a pub to get some drinks, and she gets mistaken for someone else by a man. She politely refuses his offer to add her order to his tab. Lexi finds it awkward, the way he seems comfortable trying to make a conversation with her. Then she shakes her head on hearing the same man calling someone else pet names over the phone. On dropping his call, he inquires if her friend Linda informed her about his daughter, and that's when Lexi realizes he is on a blind date, and he mistook her for his date. The man receives a text from the girl, Michelle, saying she won't be with him for an hour. She requests he give her his phone if he wants to meet his date, and she sends a text in reply to the message he received. He laughs after reading her response, then requests her permission to keep him company and pay for her order, since his date won't be coming anytime soon. The both of them get into a conversation about Lexi's job. She looks at the message on his phone and makes a bet that she could get him to dance with her in 20 minutes. He laughs at her confidence. Soon Michelle walks in on them, asking if he is her date, and Lexi quickly claims that she is at the wrong table. Michelle apologizes and checks elsewhere. He just laughs at how smart she is and joins her in dancing. Later, they stand outside her lodge, kissing intimately, and he reveals he has to leave. He doesn't want to get himself involved in a one-night thing, especially as she will be leaving the next day. Lexi accepts his decision and allows him to go. She asks for his name, but he refuses to tell her, so she just allows him to leave, after thanking her for keeping him company. Lexi gets on a call with Simone the next morning while driving to her client's residence. Simone tries letting her know that she might not be able to do the deal in one day, because buyers have failed to get the client, Kobe Mason, to sell the property for the better part of a decade. Lexi requests details from Simone to learn the situation surrounding the sale of the property. She ends the call upon arriving at her destination. Kobe Mason is a third-generation cattle rancher and horse trainer who has been in charge of the property since his father passed some 5 years back. He has been struggling with the business, but doesn't want to sell because he has some sentimental attachment to the property. Lexi knocks on the front door, but nobody responds. So she takes a walk towards the stable, and soon starts playing with the horse there. A woman walks out of nowhere, complimenting how good she is with the stubborn horse that their neighbor gave her son. Lexi apologizes for coming and explains what led to her being there. The woman introduces herself as Millie, the mother of Kobe Mason. Lexi reveals she wants to meet with Kobe, but is stunned to find out that her family, the Crenshaws, have been buying out ranches almost all over the valley, and they are now neighbors to Kobe's ranch. Millie suggests she take a ride on one of the horses so she can meet with Kobe, who is repairing a piece of fence in the southern pasture, where some of their cattle wandered over into the Crenshaws' pasture. Lexi appreciates the view from the stable before taking the horse on a ride to meet Kobe. On getting to the pasture, Lexi meets Abby, Kobe's daughter, and they get along pretty well. Abby complains about her dad not believing she is a good wrangler, so he refuses to let her get too close to the cattle. Abby thinks Lexi is a cowgirl who's here to help them out, but they're almost done with the work. Just then Kobe comes to join them, and he recognizes her as the lady he met at the pub the previous night. Abby informs him that Mimi sent Lexi to come to assist them. As if the surprise is not enough, Lexi's brothers Walton and Jack join them. They are surprised to see their prodigal sister back home for Christmas. Lexi is surprised to find out the man she met the previous night is Kobe Mason, and even more surprised to see her brothers. Kobe is, however, not expecting her to be the Alexandra from the Crenshaw family. She reveals to her brothers that she's in Tuac on a business trip. Walton heads off to go do other things, and he reminds Kobe he could always sell to him if he can't keep his cattle from coming into their ranch. Lexi's younger brother stares at her with a lot going through his mind. She compliments how grown he has become, and she requests they hang out to catch up. But Jack is indifferent, especially since she disappeared for over a decade. He heads back, leaving her to herself. Lexi walks over to Kobe, who tells her off, insisting he doesn't want to talk to one more Crenshaw. Neither is he willing to sell his legacy to the Crenshaws, who have been sending all their neighbors out of town for almost a decade. Lexi tries to explain that she isn't working for her father, but is there on behalf of Sky Islands, a development company. However, Kobe isn't willing to listen to her, so he asks her to take the horse back to the barn. Later, Lexi drives to her family's house. She meets her father and they exchange pleasantries. She reveals that her time at the inn she lodged is overdue, and she can't rebook, so she will need a place to stay for a few days. Her dad informs her they're fully booked because of the festive season. He then suggests she stay in her room instead of paying, but she insists on staying in the bunkhouse. Jack moves the cowboys from the bunkhouse so she can stay in the room upstairs while he stays down with the guys. She thanks him, staring at his face, and she sees how much resemblance he has to their mother. The next morning, Abby runs to hug Lexi. She informs Lexi that she came with her dad to return Mr. Crenshaw's horse to him, and almost immediately, Lexi's father joins in the conversation. He welcomes Kobe and Abby, also thanking them for sorting his filly. Mr. Harry suggests Kobe take Lexi to the southern fence, while he takes Abby with him to show her the newly born calf. Abby excitedly runs to join him, leaving her dad with Lexi. On the ride to the ranch, Lexi and Kobe resolve the tension from the previous day. She reveals the reason she had to stay at her father's is because her potential seller is proving stubborn, so she couldn't finish the deal the previous day. Kobe laughs, informing her to try harder, because a third-generation rancher has no plans to sell, no matter the offer. He compliments her riding skills and apologizes for failing to recognize their town's winner of the Junior World Champion barrel racer in 1995. He wonders why she left home, and Lexi reveals how her dad named her brothers as his successors only 3 months after her mother's demise. They engaged in an argument, and she left home and never looked back. Later, Lexi calls Simone to inform her of how things are going, and how she ended up in her estranged father's house. Simone becomes concerned about the new development. However, she advises Lexi to take care of herself and make sure to be safe. Lexi joins Jack in the kitchen later on. She offers to help him with cooking, but he declines, reminding her of the mess she made during his second-grade holiday party. They laugh, remembering how she mixed salt and sugar in the cookies. Lexi apologizes for not reaching out. She tries to catch up on his welfare and what he's been up to, but Jack refuses to give her any tangible information, because he feels the only reason she's sharing a room with him is that she couldn't find a hotel to stay in. Moments later, Lexi meets her dad and Abby in the field. Harry requests that Abby go check out the southern fence, in case it needs some tightening, and she runs off, giving him some time to talk to his daughter. Harry tries to have a civil conversation with Lexi, but she keeps getting emotional and bringing the past up. He reveals that he's willing to forgive her and let bygones be bygones, if she's willing to stay for Christmas. Lexi can't believe her dad just said he was willing to forgive her, instead of the other way around, especially after cutting her off her family's legacy simply because she's a female. They engage in a little argument, and Lexi walks out, leaving Harry frustrated for trying to mend their relationship. Later in the day, Lexi walks up to Kobe, where he's training the unruly horse her father gave him to work on. She stares at him, admiring how he does his thing. Kobe soon joins her and starts up a discussion about the horse's nature, and the reason it's refusing to work with Harry. Lexi laughs, because it sounds as though he's trying to describe how she's refusing to work with her father. They continue chatting, and Kobe urges her to feed the horse some apples. Towards evening, Walton comes to meet Lexi, making some horseshoes just like the ones their mother used to make. He bluntly asks if she's around to get her inheritance. The conversation he's starting isn't sitting well with Lexi, especially with him bragging about turning the ranch into a tourist destination. They exchange words, and Lexi angrily walks out on him. While searching for horseshoes, Lexi sends a voice message to Simone requesting she do some digging on the Mason Ranch financials, and also if her family is associated with the development company. She sees a big box with her name written on it. She picks her cowgirl hat up with a smile on her face and heads out to give it to Abby. Lexi puts the hat on her and reveals that she once heard Abby is a good barrel racer. Soon she starts training the excited Abby while Millie watches from a distance away. Kobe soon joins Millie, and she admits that Lexi is good with Abby. Plus, she has never seen Abby so excited. Not wanting any sort of attachment, Kobe reminds Millie that Lexi is a Crenshaw. Lexi and Abby wrap up their training and join Kobe and Millie. Kobe thinks Lexi is training his daughter for a reason. However, she confesses she simply likes Abby, and there is no ulterior motive attached to it. She explains that she remembers Kobe once said he didn't have time to train Abby, and that's why she decided to train his daughter without requesting anything in return. Abby invites Lexi to her favorite dish, lasagna, as her Christmas payment, in the form of dinner. Later, Lexi and Jack are back from wrangling. Walton rides by, informing Lexi that their dad asked them over to breakfast. He immediately rides off without waiting for a response from her. Lexi apologizes to Jack once more for not trying harder to reach out to him. She confesses how she enjoyed the time spent together, because their father never allowed her to wrangle. Jack doesn't want her to blame their father much, because he has had a tough time dealing with their mother's passing and her leaving. Back at Crenshaw and Hayes, Simone calls Lexi to update her on Mason Ranch, informing her that Kobe is heavily in debt after taking out a second mortgage 6 months back. She also reveals that there's no connection between her family and the development company. Lexi, who's heading to Mason's ranch, wonders why Kobe doesn't just want to sell. When Lexi arrives at Kobe's place, Abby runs out to give her a Christmas hat she's mandated to wear before stepping in. Lexi walks into the house to join Kobe and Millie. After the dinner, Millie asks Abby to clear the table and come with the ornaments they kept for Lexi so they can decorate the tree. With just Lexi and herself on the table, Millie asks about Lexi's deal. Lexi is surprised to find out Millie wants Kobe to sell the property. She assures Millie that her family's name is nowhere near the company, who are willing to buy, and they are also willing to pay well. Millie requests to see the paperwork, and she advises Lexi to be careful with Kobe and Abby's hearts. She explains how difficult it was for Kobe to come around, after Abby's mom left when Abby was still a baby. Abby comes jingling a bell, informing them it's time for the main event of Christmas. Soon they're all sitting, and Abby invites them to have their drinks, along with the cupcakes she made, while her dad plays the guitar. It is nighttime, and Abby has dozed off on the couch. Kobe drops the guitar and tries getting her to bed when Millie also wakes up almost immediately. She thanks Lexi for coming over and tells her to come around whenever she likes, before bidding her goodnight. After taking Abby to bed, Kobe comes back to find Lexi cleaning the tables. He joins her in cleaning and reveals that his mom and daughter love her. She laughs and confesses he's more than lucky to have such a wonderful family, because they make her feel like she's home. Kobe kisses her lips, but she pulls away almost immediately, for fear that she doesn't even know how long she will stay. He insists he wants her and pulls her up on the table, intensely kissing her. Millie interrupts them to bid them goodnight. They laugh, and Kobe carries her to the barn, where they can make love without anyone walking in on them. The next morning, the lovebirds are having a nice time when Abby comes in, calling out for her dad. Lexi gets up to hide, while Kobe dresses up to quickly get Abby away. Lexi sees a letter of final notice on the desk. When Kobe walks in, he warns her to mind her business and not go through his stuff. She tries to make him see reason to sell when there's an opportunity, instead of going under and being left with nothing. He insists that she leave it be, because he can't let go of the only home he has ever known. So he has no plans of selling. Abby completely understands how much it means to him, so she promises she will give up on the property. She encourages him to fight for it, promising never to bring it up again, because she has yet to recover from her separation from her own family. So if this is worth it, he should fight for it. She gives him an assuring kiss. The next morning, Harry and his sons are sitting over the breakfast table, and Walton starts making a fuss about Lexi's business with Kobe, while Jack reminds him that Lexi is their sister and not a villain. Lexi joins them, apologizing for coming late. Harry announces he wants to inform them of some changes he has made regarding the family business. He informs them that Jack will be taking over management of the working ranch, while Walton sticks to drawing in people, and he's yet to finish up the details for what Lexi will be in charge of. Walton throws a tantrum, demanding to know why the ranch management is being taken from him and given to Jack. He also doesn't understand why Lexi is being considered after she made it clear she doesn't want a stake, especially with her involvement in acquiring Kobe's property. Lexi tries to leave because she doesn't see why she's in the gathering. Her father demands she sit down, at least for her mother's sake. Lexi gets mad. She feels her dad is trying to blame her for the family's brokenness after what he did to her. She blames him for ripping up their family and refusing to acknowledge the role he played in it. After bearing her mind, she storms off angrily. She takes a horse on a ride into the fields, crying profusely as everything keeps replaying and her hurt resurfaces. At Mason's ranch, Millie encourages Kobe to take Lexi's offer, because no other buyer will come close to paying the amount of money she is offering. Kobe starts getting pissed, asking why Lexi showed her the papers. Millie explains she requested the papers, and there's no shame in doing what's best for the family. After all, they can just buy a smaller ranch and focus on horses. Later that evening, Lexi sits on the rooftop of the bunkhouse, enjoying the melody one of the cowboys is playing from his guitar. A call from Kobe comes in, and he reveals he's willing to sell. They meet some moments later, and Kobe confesses he's willing to sell, especially after finding out how his mom feels about it. He makes her promise not to tell Abby, because he wants her to have one last happy Christmas on the ranch. He collects the papers from her so he can sign them. The next morning, everywhere gets windy as the storm approaches, and the animals on the fields make noise uncontrollably. Kobe puts a call through to their hired hands, but none of them are willing to come help out. He informs his mom of the situation, as they can't afford to lose their cattle to the storm. Millie suggests they get help from the Crenshaws, since they don't have much of a choice. At the Crenshaws, Jack invites Lexi to the Christmas Eve dinner at the main lodge, but Lexi refuses. Just then, Kobe drives in informing them he needs some help to move his cattle, and would appreciate it if they have extra hands that he could pay. Jack and Lexi offer to help, because they don't have anyone else. Kobe appreciates them and hugs Lexi when Walton walks in, congratulating Kobe for selling to their family. Lexi can't believe her ears, and Kobe applauds her manipulation tactics. He refuses to believe she's unaware, so he walks away from them. Lexi was unaware because the company is from Minnesota, and her family's name has no ties with it. Jack reveals he has no knowledge about it, and Walton spills that their father has a hand in it, and she will be getting a good bonus from their father's money. At the Masons, the storm is getting more intense, and it's becoming difficult for just Kobe and Millie to move the horses on their own. Kobe insists they try. Lexi and Jack come running to help, but Kobe angrily tells them not to come close. However, they join them anyway. After the adults leave, Abby gets on the unruly horse and gathers the other cattle into their shed. She realizes one of the cows is missing, so she heads out in search of it. Later at night, Millie, Kobe, Lexi, and Jack get back. Millie appreciates the siblings for their assistance, while Kobe, who has been calling for Abby, comes back to inform them that Abby is not responding, so he has to go find her. Millie requests that Lexi tell her what is going on. Lexi reveals how her dad hid behind a shell company just to buy their ranch, and they were all unaware of it, but Kobe doesn't believe her. She confesses she could never hurt Kobe to that extent, and it aches that he thinks she manipulated him. Kobe comes back to reveal Abby is nowhere to be found, so they set out to go find her, leaving Millie behind in case she comes around that spot. The storm gets serious as thunder rumbles, with lightning everywhere. Lexi calls for her father's help, informing him that Abby is missing. Abby finally finds the cow she is looking for, but its belt is stuck on the fence. She shouts out, calling for help. Meanwhile, everyone is out in the storm, searching for her and calling her name. Luckily, Harry finds her and carries her in, to treat her cut from the barbed wire, and get her some warmth. The others soon join them, and Harry reveals she cut her hand on the fence, but she's okay now. They convince Abby to leave after promising to take care of the cow. Kobe insists on leaving with his daughter. Lexi tries to convince him to stay, and he gets upset. He can't hide that he's unhappy with her family, and Lexi throws the blame on her dad. Harry cuts in, explaining he did it to get her back home, knowing full well that she wouldn't come back if he asked her, and he wanted to make things right, so he bought it for her. Walton flares up on hearing that revelation, but Harry shuts him up. Lexi shouts, asking her father why he thought doing that would make her happy, and they all start shouting at each other. Abby screams and shuts them all up. She tells them it's wrong to shout at each other at Christmas, and Lexi apologizes. She walks away feeling manipulated. Harry follows Lexi, calling her to let him explain. He informs her that he bought it so she could have her ranch, while also doing Kobe a favor, to enable him to pay off his debts, and not for his selfish desires. Lexi angrily reveals she doesn't want the ranch of the man she loves. Harry is surprised at her revelation, but he explains it was her mother's wish to give her a lot of options, in case she didn't want life on the ranch. He simply fulfilled his wife's desire, believing that she's made for more. Harry confesses his wife gave up her dreams to live on the ranch with him, and she didn't want the same life for Lexi. He acknowledges that the single decision he took in denying her a part of the family's inheritance pushed her into creating something great for herself all on her own. Lexi quietly listens to him apologize for everything, and wishes he did things differently. Harry insists she tells him what to do, because he has already lost 10 years without her, and he doesn't want to lose more. Meanwhile, Abby and Kobe settle into one of the rooms in the Crenshaw's home. Abby advises her father to figure things out with Lexi, because she loves her a lot. The next morning, Lexi joins Kobe on the rooftop. She hands him some documents and reveals to him that she found a way to save his ranch. She admits she would like to sell back the ranch to him, and they'll be partners 50-50, but it would remain in his name. Plus, she has put together an action list in order of importance, and when they're profitable again, they will split the profits from it. Kobe is surprised she wants to sell for $1, and he wonders why she wants to give her ranch to him. She reveals she never wanted a ranch, but a part of her family's legacy, which her dad agreed to the previous night. So all he has to do is say yes. Besides, they'll be partners anyway. She pleads with him to allow her to help him get the place back up and running. Kobe confesses she's good at what she does. Lexi adds that's not all she wants, then looks him straight in the eye and confesses that she wants him. Kobe promises he's all hers, and gives her a loving kiss. Later on, both families sit together, putting the past behind them. They share a meal, laughing, allowing happiness to sweep through the atmosphere.